Welcome to the Inspiration Station. I'm your host, Corey Baker. Thank you so much for being here for episode number 2 of the Inspiration Station podcast. Last week, we talked about just getting started, and I was interested in just thinking about that, just the idea of just getting going with something, because a lot of times that is the hardest time. It's like trying to ride a bicycle for the first time. You know, it's really tricky. Sometimes you don't even get moving on the first one. You have to kind of walk with your feet. And then as you get it, you know, before you know it, it just becomes easy because you already got everything in motion. You have the muscle memory. It's just that getting started, which I like to keep in mind when starting something new, that a lot of times the hardest stuff is going to be at the beginning. I'm not saying that things don't get hard as you go on, because there's always going to be new problems or new things to figure out, new problems to solve, new hurdles to jump. But you know, you can always get through that stuff. But I was thinking about, you know, since last week we talked about getting started, then I wanted to talk today about what you do once you have gotten started and maybe things aren't working out, or also the idea of working very hard towards something and stopping right before you get to the finish line, basically. And I wanted to tell a little story about when I was probably 22, 23 at the time. I was done with college. I had moved around a couple times. It was pretty broke, wasn't paying my student loan, so I was kind of forced to move back in with my parents, which at the time as a 23-year-old, you know, was kind of a little bit embarrassing, and you know, it did hurt my ego a bit at the time, but through that, you know, I worked really hard, got a really good job in a music store, and I was having a lot of fun for a while. But then, you know, there's this idea of kind of settling on your dream, settling for something that's really close to what you want to do, but not exactly what you want to do. And that's kind of where I was at the time. You know, I was teaching Ableton here and there, which was awesome. And I still enjoy that today. But I wasn't really performing music because I was in Indiana and there wasn't really that many places to play. I think the one show I did do around that time was a DJ set at GameStop in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It was like a Call of Duty launch date or something. It was one of their new games. But anyways, I was playing a bunch of dubstep at the time, because that was what was at least what I was into, and nobody enjoyed it at all then, because it was all before people knew who Skrillex was and all that. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. There's this interesting thing that happens where you can be doing something that's really close to your dream, but it's not, and that there is so much pain in that. When I was working at the music store, I loved it. There was a lot of great perks to it. It was amazing. You know, I was getting paid decently, not super great, but you know, making money. Granted, I was still living at home, which was, you know, it was fun just to get to see my parents, but at the same time, it was kind of like, okay, it's like, Corey, it's time to like grow up and like get going with this. So I was working on music at the time too, and really trying to kind of perfect my craft. And I remember this one day specifically when I had sent a track off to a label and they just denied it. They just said they didn't want to release it. And, you know, I had worked really hard on this particular track, like I do on most things. But right then and there, I was just like, you know what? I don't even want to do music anymore. Like, I'm tired of this, like fighting for it. And that was kind of the best and worst thing that could have happened to me, because for one, I went through a really dark time where I was like deleting things on my Facebook, deleting friends, like just starting to delete music. I think as stupid as it sounds, I think on Facebook I wrote like "Kill Paris is dead," and that was at the time I had like 130 followers, you know, on Facebook or something like that. But anyways, yeah. So I had settled kind of for the dream, or settled, you know, working this 9-to-5 job that was a really great job. It was really fun, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't, you know, me being in the studio creating music, or, you know, going out and playing shows, or, you know, making things like making tutorials and stuff, or, you know, just creating art, being able to do that whenever I feel like, and to be able to do that, you know, on my own time. So what ended up happening is I went through this really dark time, and then I talked to my friend Dave, who he's been kind of my moral compass quite a few times throughout my life. And I think it's very important to have these people in your life that are going to be able to give you a little bit of insight on, when you're going through really hard times, there's usually something to be learned there. I mean, that's kind of the most, what I try to, it's very, very hard. Trust me, it's very, very hard when you're going through a hard time, whether it's family issues or relationship issues. It's very, very hard to come out on top and be able to say, oh, I know that I'm going to learn something from this. Like, this sucks right now, but we're going to be able to get through this, and I'm going to learn something from this, and things are going to be better after that, or I'll have this new knowledge that'll help me in the future. A lot of times it's hard to see that, but that's basically what my friend Dave was telling me. He said, he's like, you can't give up. Like, you've worked this hard and you're just going to throw all this away, because you're waiting for somebody to say, oh, hey, good job. Like, this is awesome. Like, that's another thing too. It's hard when if you're waiting for the kind of approval of others, like, it's a very, very painful game, and it doesn't last. It's hard. It's hard to be an artist, and it's hard to make and produce creative work when you're worrying about what other people are going to think about it, because then it becomes ungenuine. So my friend, he told me, he's like, you just got to keep going. You gotta figure something out, or you got to change something. You got to keep moving. So he told that to me, and at this time, honestly, guys, I was planning on working at this place for the rest of my life, saving up money for a house, and just staying in Indiana and giving up. And it was sad. I mean, I didn't have a girlfriend at the time either. It was kind of a lonely time in my life. But after that, I kind of went through something. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, but I'm gonna do it differently. I'm gonna try to do it better. And shortly after that was when I decided to just move to LA. And again, when I moved to LA, I had maybe $1,000 to my name on top of loads of student loans building up, but I knew that if I didn't just go for it, then I was gonna stay home, and I was not a good person to be around at the time, because I was not happy with myself. That's the thing. If you're not happy with yourself, you're gonna make other people around you unhappy, and it's not gonna make the world a better place. Like, it's just gonna make it worse. So I just wanted to kind of share that story with you. And, after that, I'm not saying that everything was easy after that, because things are never easy after that. But I have found so many times in life that if you're willing to just kind of push through, or just change your direction and be like, no, this is what I really want. I don't want this dream over here that's kind of okay. It's kind of what I want. It's pretty decent, pretty comfortable. No, that's not what I want. I want the big dream. I want the real deal. That's what you should say to yourself, because you deserve that. Everybody deserves that. We all have these big dreams of changing the world, and usually it's just we want love from people, we want trust, we want to get to truth as well. So just when you have, there's so many times in my life where I've been up against a wall, and I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. How do you get out of this? How do you keep moving? You just got to figure something out, go in another direction, or continue in the same direction. Keep pushing forward, and also keep trying to learn. That's another thing I learned right then and there, that I just need to stop seeking the approval of other people, and stop. At the time, I was trying to do dubstep music, so I was trying to do something very specific to fit into something, and that never, I've been good at that at times, but it never felt right to me. It's always felt more right to just be myself. It's a lot more painful to be yourself most of the time, but I'm telling you what, it's way more rewarding. It's way more rewarding to be yourself, and to hopefully go after your big goals, and hopefully change the world for the better. Because if you're happier, if I'm happier, if everybody could be happier and more fulfilled by actually going after what they want, this world would be a better place. And we can get it to there. The world is a great place already. It's just we have to start paying attention to the positive things, and paying attention to the good things that are happening, and not focusing on the negative. So I hope that this helps you on your Monday. I hope you guys are out there getting stuff done, achieving your goals, having a fantastic week. Thank you so much for listening. I will be back next week, next Monday. This is the Inspiration Station, Corey Baker. You can subscribe on iTunes. This is on SoundCloud as well. And yeah, thanks so much for listening, guys. I will talk to you later.